They can accept that offer because it's so fantastically written by me. Or they can counter.
That's right. It's just the stage in which you determine whether or not you can actually go out there and buy a house. And that's based upon your ability to afford a monthly payment and your credit is in good enough condition so that you meet the guidelines.
Definitely.
Every party that's involved loves it.
Well, yeah.
Whether it's the real estate agent, the lender, or the buyer,
clear to close.
Seller. It means we're ready to proceed to the title company to finalize all the paperwork
It's
so you can
down.
get your keys and become the owner of the home.
It's winding down. Hey, Luciano Cruz, real estate here, the Purple Agent, and today we are going to be going over the 5 stages of the home buying process. So first and foremost, I want to thank you for tuning in. And secondly, I want to ask you that if you find any value with this video, please click the like button, make a comment, or better yet, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any weekly content that'll be coming here every week. Today we got Sean Conley joining me from Lake Mortgage here in Maryville, Indiana. What's up, Sean?
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great, thanks.
You know what we're gonna be talking about today, right?
The home buying process, right?
How many stages? 5 stages. I guess in my opinion, I mean, there could be more or less, but we kind of summed it up.
5 main stages.
5 main stages to the home buying process. So let's get ready to roll with these stages. The first stage in the home buying process is the pre-approval stage. So during this stage, you are, and there's 3 steps in the pre-approval stage, and they're actually all interchangeable. So it's knowing your credit score and making the necessary repairs if you can, and talking to a realtor and or talking to a lender. So all of these can happen in no specific order.
That's correct. So being a lender, if you were calling me, you'd be getting pre-approved on the phone. And a lender, in order to pre-approve you, is going to ask about your income, what your credit score is, how much money you've saved, in order for us to determine what your monthly payment can be. And that itself will allow us to determine how much of a house you can afford.
And maybe you're working on your credit yourself. Maybe you know your credit score, maybe you don't. The real estate agent is going to talk to you about that kind of stuff, but the lender could. So the lender could really kind of talk to you about maybe you should pay this instead of that. And this is going to have a better impact on your score than if you pay that, and kind of work through things that way.
That's correct. In today's day and age, you know, having the best credit score possible when you get into the process is super important because it does affect the type of financing that you qualify for. Lake Mortgage has a relationship with National Credit Care. If there is really a lot of work that needs to be done on your credit, we can refer you to a credit repair company. Otherwise, if it's just minor things such as working on your credit utilization, which is how much money do you owe on your credit cards, sometimes just by paying down some of those cards, you can increase your credit score in a short period of time. We can have that conversation during the pre-approval process.
So with the first stage of the pre-approval process, any one of those can happen one before the other. So it doesn't really matter as long as you're talking to a professional and getting the right information.
That's right. It's just the stage in which you determine whether or not you can actually go out there and buy a house. And that's based upon your ability to afford a monthly payment and your credit is in good enough condition so that you meet the guidelines.
Definitely. So that, my friends, is the first stage of the home buying process. And again, it's interchangeable. Talk to a realtor, talk to a lender, know your credit score, make any kind of repairs with that. And, you know, they can all happen interchangeably. Stage 2 of the home buying process is the home search. The home search begins with the real estate agents. We have a consultation and we find out what you're looking for in your home. You know, what style home, ranch, 2-story, you know, do you want a walkout basement? How many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, square footage, all that type of stuff. So we have that conversation. We determine what you're looking for. I take that and I set you up to get notifications either through the MLS or whatever. I have a couple other sources that I could use to send you home searches through. And you start checking. I want to see this home. I want to see that home. And this is a good part, you know, because I know what you're looking for, but it's kind of different when you hear it and then see it, you know. So I know when I first meet with clients and we first see 2 or 3 homes, I'm like, okay, I know exactly what they're looking for.
Well, it also, the buyer really needs to be able to see several homes in the price range that they're qualified for to determine, is this really the home's price range that I want to look at?
Right. So I mean, it's important because when you talk to that lender, you know what your pre-approval amount is. I mean, I've had people say, "Hey, I want to talk to a lender after I find the home." That's not really the best thing because I set you up to see homes in the $350,000 range, but you're approved for $300,000. Right. You kind of waste the time. You're looking at homes that are outside the budget.
It's very important because you need to make sure that the individual, because they're the ones who know what their monthly budget is. Right. We don't know what the monthly budget is. Right. You qualify for one thing. That doesn't necessarily want that payment on a monthly basis.
Yeah, I've had people, hey, I'm pre-approved for, $300, but I don't want to go above $275. All right, I got you. That's the parameters that we set with the home search and getting the information in the homes that are out on the market and homes that are off the market as well.
And how often, Luciano, does a buyer actually find the house that they're looking for, the first one that you show them?
It's happened to me on a few occasions, but it's not everyone, I've had someone find something on the first day and then they were just so nervous they still wanted to see another home the next day, but then that solidified them and loving the first choice and everything. So I don't mind. This is the biggest investment that you're going to purchase, and I don't mind doing whatever we have to do to make sure that you feel comfortable with the choices that you're making. And there you go. So that's part of stage 2 with the search and the showings. I set up all the showings in showing time and schedule all the showings to be back to back and spend the day or a few hours looking at homes. I usually try to set like 8 homes, 10 homes max in a day because you really don't want to see too many because it gets overwhelming. So kind of want to limit.
You can't really remember what you saw, right?
Exactly.
After too many of them.
So you kind of want to limit that. The realtor, myself, will be setting all of that up for you. And there you go. So that's stage 2 of the home buying process. Stage 3 of the home buying process would be extending offers, negotiations, and acceptance of that offer. First, we are going to want to understand the property that we want to extend an offer on and know its value. So that's something that the real estate agent is going to help with. Say you have a home that's $300,000 and you want to extend an offer on that home. We have a conversation of what you kind of want to do based on your pre-approval letter and the comps in the area. That home may have been sitting on the market for a while and it's overpriced or underpriced, which is kind of a good thing. But so the real estate agent is going to help you with that, the value of that home, looking at comps in the area and really what you're willing to pay for that home. After we've determined the price that we want to pay, then we will put that on paper on a purchase agreement. And that's a buyer's document that's going to have the price and a lot of contingencies and concessions that you might have in purchasing a new home. What about those concessions, Sean?
The seller can contribute a certain amount towards your closing costs, depending upon the type of financing that you're using. And you should take that into consideration, especially if you don't have a lot of money. A lot of buyers we consult to try and hold on to funds and really just use their down payment. You only spend the money that they have on their down payment and try and get the seller to pay for closing costs in order to keep money in your pocket, because there's always going to be things that you want to do to the house when you move in. Furniture, kitchen appliances, all kinds of things, especially for a new house.
Yeah, that's really important too. So I guide my clients in not being too hung up on that dollar amount. I mean, you want to borrow what the bank is saying that you can borrow and that you're comfortable with paying, but you don't want to exhaust all of your savings in the purchase of this home because, like you mentioned, you want to do this, you want to do that. But if you spend all of your money, then you're left with nothing, but you have this mortgage payment. So $5,000, $10,000 is really going to equate to dollars on a mortgage.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So the concessions, we can ask for, $5,000, $6,000. There's some parameters that go along with that with certain loan programs as well. But that's what Sean's there is to guide us on what those concessions are. And those help alleviate what the buyer has to bring to the table.
Correct. Now, you also have to make sure that when you're negotiating for the price that you don't get overzealous on what you're asking for. Most sellers probably will not take a $10,000 reduction in the sales price and give $5,000 towards closing costs. You can ask, but you have to be realistic about how much they're actually going to give to you
Right.
If you put yourself in their shoes, you may not accept that offer. So just be realistic about how much you're asking.
And that's what we're here to do, is help guide, because, you know, if the house is $300,000, the comp support it, the home supports it, how you feel about it, you just love it, but then you want to offer 260, 270, that's probably not going to fly. And then on top of that 270, you want to ask for an extra $5,000-$6,000. I mean, that's just digging into their pocket, and then they're less likely to help you and then look at other offers instead of your offer.
Correct.
The real estate agent is going to help you draft the best and strongest offer so you can get the home of your dreams. And then within the making offers, negotiation, and acceptance, we submit that offer, you sign it, we submit that offer, give them a deadline to respond to us, and then we know if it's ours or not. They can accept that offer because it's so fantastically written by me, or they can counter. So then you've written a $280,000 offer on a $300,000 house. That's a big gap. And I counsel my clients with this big time when we're talking about it. The bigger that gap is, the bigger the room they have to counter. So you kind of want to close that gap as much as you can and feel comfortable with, and what you can afford and what you're asking for as far as those concessions go as well. So just to reiterate, you don't want to ask for a low price and then a big amount to give you back in your pocket. You know, the seller wants their bottom line as well. So got to look at it from both angles. And so anyway, if they accept the offer, fantastic. If they counter, we have numbers, concessions, contingencies to look at, and all of those are negotiable. So then we counter, they accept that or counter back, and there shouldn't be too many counters. And a lot of times myself, I call the agent, introduce myself, tell them what we're kind of doing and what they're thinking. And sometimes you keep that line of communication open, and you can possibly get some information or not, or just, you know, that kind of helps. Hey, I talked to the agent, they sound fantastic, or they, you know, and they'll be great to work with and everything like that. I think this would be a better offer, and then someone else might call or not call. They're just rude, and, you know, they convey all that information. We're like the mediators for you. So after all the counters go back and forth, everything's accepted. Next, we move on to the next stage of the home buying process, and that would be under contract contingencies.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
So under this stage, we have an accepted offer, and then in the purchase agreement, it says that we have 3 days. You have a max of 3 days to get that earnest money. It could be 2 or 1, whatever hours. You have to submit that earnest money. So the purchase agreement and the earnest money solidifies that house for you. And the earnest money is like your good faith money, your deposit, however you want to look at it. And this home is now yours, and we can begin all the other steps that are going on for the purchase of your new home.
There's also the mortgage contingency that's in the contract that says you have a certain amount of time. Typically, it's about a week in order to make a formal mortgage application, which is Luciano or the agent submitting the accepted offer to a lender like myself. And then we start our process of underwriting the file to ensure that what you've negotiated in the contract is going to work for getting you the financing.
Yeah.
Also in that contract is the home inspection.
Home inspection, and that, you know,
Contingency.
it was tightened up. It was tightened up a little bit before, where it'd have to be, hey, I want this done, depending on how quickly the seller wants to get, you know, out of the house, and how soon you can get into the house. So the home inspection can be anywhere from 3 days, 14 days. You have a home inspection. I give you some names, you call, you set up the home inspection. It's very important that you be there because you get education about the home, how to maintain the home. The home inspector is looking for major defects and safety issues. So safety issues like mold, carbon monoxide, broken windows, peeling paint, safety issues, major defects such as like the roof or the foundation.
All of those things are not only important to you as the person who's going to buy the house, but they're also important to the lender, because the lender may have an issue with financing a home that has major defects, right? Structural major defects. The one word that a lender never wants to hear is mold.
Mold.
We do not want to hear about mold because of the safety, as Luciano mentioned a second ago. It's a safety issue. We don't need the people moving in to get sick from that mold.
Nope. That's a problem. So, you know, the negotiating table has opened up again once the home inspection is done. You know, we ask for this, they ask for that, they're going to do this, they're not going to do that. So all that's negotiated between all of us. And then the appraisal is ordered by the lender.
So the appraisal is ordered to ensure that the home is worth what the contract price says it is. So we know that you're going to pay a price that the market will support. So if you're buying the house for $280,000, we need to get an appraised value for at least $280,000, if not greater. So if it was a home that was listed for $300,000, they accepted an offer at $280,000, and then it appraises for $290,000, that just means you've done a very good job of negotiating for the house. If the house appraises for less, though, we have to go back to the negotiating table, because a lender cannot finance a home that is worth less than what the contract price is. We have to establish the loan based upon the lower of those two values, either the contract price or the appraisal.
So you have options as a buyer, and they have options as a seller. If the appraisal does come in undervalued, you as the seller has the option to agree to sell that home at that lower value to you, or you could pay the difference in the gap of that, and then the home would be yours. Or everybody just walks away, and everybody just moves on. You get your earnest money back, and all that kind of stuff. So if the home comes under the appraised value, those are your options. You can either pay the difference, the seller agrees to sell the home to you at that appraised value, or everybody just parts ways.
The contract definitely protects that sales price, regardless of what direction the appraisal goes.
Correct. And all of that falls under the stage of under contract contingencies. Okay. And now the last stage of the home buying process would be closing on that property.
We all love to hear that term, CTC, or clear to close.
Clear to close. Hey, I got that clear to close. What?
Yeah.
Hey, it's here. Hey, good news. I got that clear to close. That's fantastic.
Every party that's involved loves it.
Well, yeah.
Whether it's the real estate agent, the lender, or the buyer,
clear to close.
Seller. It means we're ready to proceed to the title company to finalize all the paperwork, so you can get your keys and become the owner of the home.
It's winding down closer to the dotted line, closing date, inching towards it. So during the clear to close process, and the lender is the one who says, hey, the file's clear to close, then we can, two things as a real estate agent, we could schedule the closing, and in conjunction with that, before or after, we're going to do a final walkthrough. So the home that you've selected, your future home, we're going to schedule a walkthrough. You go through, you can verify that all of the repairs were done. Maybe some receipts were submitted, or maybe the home inspection company has to come out and verify. I have a situation like that going on where, I'm going to talk to the home inspection company. They're going to come out just to make sure that all the things were done. Just check, because they don't know. So they're going to verify. That's what I do, because I like my clients to feel safe and comfortable with the decisions that they've made. So we do the final walkthrough. The closing is scheduled and set.
And then during that process, also the lender is creating what's called the closing disclosure, which is going to give you the final number as far as how much money you have to bring to closing.
Right.
It's either going to be in the form of a cashier's check from a bank or a wire from the bank, depending upon how much you actually have to bring in.
Right. That's pretty much it. You're there, we go to the closing table, we meet, hopefully everything was great, we're all on the table, closing table, signing documents, and, get your keys, and it's a wrap. Those are the stages to the home buying process. Exciting, isn't it?
It's very exciting.
It's very, very exciting.
Closing day is always exciting.
So we're just happy that you get the home of your dreams, and everything is just done and complete. Another one done.
I know Luciano would agree with this, but ultimately, our goal as real estate professionals is to make sure that you're comfortable with the whole process, and make sure that when you get to closing, you're comfortable with signing all the documents, and that you're confident that what you've done is a good decision for you and your family.
Correct. I am here for you, not me. Please reach out. I'm everywhere on the internet. Google Luciano Cruz, ask Siri, ask Alexa. I'm just Luciano Cruz. I'll pop up. Where can they find you?
You can find me, Sean Conley, at lakemortgage.com. You can probably find me at Google also. I've been in the business now for 20 years. So there's very little or not a shortage of information out there about me on the internet.
There you go. You guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Again, if you found any value in this video, please click the like button, make a comment below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you are not missing any of the content that's going to be coming out every week. Thanks for watching, guys.